welcome back to the Action Summary Hub. Today's featured book isn't written by a professor or a theorist. It was written by a man who started with zero and made millions, lost them, and made them all over again. Felix Dennis makes one thing clear on page 1. If you are looking for safety, security, and a quick fix, turn this video off right now. But if you are ready for a long battle, if you are willing to sacrifice comfort for control, and if you are brave enough to take real risks, then stay tuned. We are breaking down the brutal lessons on how to stop being a laborer and start becoming a master of your own system. Let us get into the action. If I ask you right now, do you want to be rich? Your answer is a fast yes. But if I ask, do you want to spend your entire life working to build someone else's dream? Your soul screams no. Most people are trapped in that gap between wanting wealth and hating their 9 to 5. But they never bridge it. Why? Because they've been fed a lie that hard work in a job leads to freedom. And today we are diving into a book that does unsell you sugar-coated dreams. It delivers a cold, hard slap of reality. This is How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. Chapter 1. Building Systems and the Owner's Mindset. This is the ultimate hook of the book. You do get rich by working hard. You get rich by building a system. Hard work alone is a treadmill. To break free, you must think like an owner. A truly rich person is the one who owns the machine, makes the hard calls, takes 100% of the responsibility for losses, and keeps 100% of the right to the profits. The missing ingredient: hunger. Felix Dennis observed thousands of smart, well-educated people throughout his career. Most of them stayed middle class. Why? Because they lacked hunger. This isn't about food, it's about a fire within. It's a burning desire to achieve, a genuine hatred for comfort, and a deep-seated anger toward living an average life. Out of restlessness, if you wake up feeling like everything is fine, you've already lost the race. The courage to stand alone money doesn't just show up, it flows to those who can handle it. It goes to those who can make a decision and have the courage to stand alone when the crowd doubts them. To get rich, you must do what the 99% refuse to do. Work long hours without a guarantee, and move forward without a single person clapping for you. The path of the outcast. If you want praise, security, or applause, you are on the wrong path. A truly rich person starts as an outcast. They are mocked. Their decisions are questioned. But that same person, the one who can endure the silence and the mockery, is the one who becomes the example later. The truth about poverty and freedom. Felix exposes the lie that poverty is noble. Poverty is pain. It creates boundaries and makes you weak. Money, on the other hand, is freedom. It provides options. It gives you the ultimate power, the power to live life entirely on your own terms. Chapter 2. Choosing the right business and the power of scale. Earning money is not just a goal, it adds a responsibility. But Felix Dennis reveals a dangerous trap. Most people work hard in the wrong place. They grind day and night on tasks that have zero scale. If your income is directly tied to your manual labor or your hours, you have already hit a ceiling. You only have 24 hours in a day, and that limit will keep you from ever becoming truly wealthy. The scalability rule: to get rich, you must build something that runs without you. You need a system that makes money while you sleep and reaches more people every single day. Business isn't just about opening a shop, it's about creating value. Value versus labor. The book delivers a brutal lesson. If you solve a problem, the world gives you money. But if you only sell your labor, you will remain a laborer forever. Felix chose the publishing industry because of one thing: scale. A magazine created once can be sold to millions of people repeatedly. That is where the real power lies. Finding your lane. Every business is not for you. The secret is to find an industry where your interest aligns with market demand. Choose a field where you can endure the long haul and where you have the potential to perform better than everyone else in the room. Stop selling your time. Start building your scale. Chapter 3. Partnerships, warnings, and facing failure. Felix Dennis drops a heavy truth. Money does not chase those who run after it. It flows to those who get immersed, the ones obsessed with making their work better every single day. The partnership trap. One of the most critical warnings in the book is this: a wrong partner can ruin your entire life. Felix argues that a business partnership is often more dangerous than a marriage. You should only take on a partner if they are ready to endure the same pain, take the same risks, and share the exact same mindset. If your partner is only dreaming of the payday but is terrified of the work run in difficult times, they will not just be dead weight. They will be the first to abandon you. The price of trust. Felix is transparent about his own scars. He shares how trusting the wrong people cost him more than just money. It cost him years of time and his mental peace. This journey is not a straight line to the top. It is a jagged path filled with bad decisions, crushing losses, and moments of deep self-doubt. The real definition of poverty, according to the book, being afraid of failure, is the ultimate form of poverty. Fearful people spend their lives making safe decisions that keep them small. But the winners are the ones who stand firm when everything is falling apart. As Felix puts it, the person who refuses to stay down is the only one who eventually wins. Chapter for money management. And avoiding. Felix Dennis highlights a critical mental shift. Rich people do not see money as an expense, they see it as leverage in every decision they ask themselves. Where will this take me? Will this increase my freedom? Or take it away the trap of show-off? Felix is brutal about show-off culture. Spending money on expensive things just to impress others is pure foolishness. Chasing status keeps you poor on the inside. Truly rich people embrace a simple life in the early stages. They do not spend to look rich, they save, invest, and grow until their wealth is unshakable. The silent killer, the ego. The most dangerous part of the journey is after the money arrives. Success breeds ego, and ego is the ultimate enemy of wealth. It forces you into bad decisions. You start believing you can never be wrong, and that sense of invincibility is exactly what brings you down. Felix witnessed many wealthy individuals lose everything simply because they stopped listening and started believing their own hype. Wealth as a responsibility. This book repeatedly reminds us that being rich is not a destination or a trophy. It is a responsibility. If you do not learn how to handle your money will eventually handle you. Wealth requires a steady hand and a humble mind. Chapter 5. Taking risks and the importance of time. Felix Dennis now targets the single biggest mistake people make: waiting. Most people wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for the path to be clear and the risk to be low. But Felix is blunt: that time never comes. There is no right opportunity in the future. The opportunity is where you are standing right now, with the resources you have and the information you have just received. Deciding in the dark. Wealth belongs to those who take decisions even with incomplete information. If you run from risk, you run from growth. Taking a risk does not mean being stupid, it means moving forward with your fear thoughtfully. Fear is actually an asset. It keeps you alert, and alertness keeps you alive. Felix admits he started many projects that had every chance of failing, but he accepted one thing: if he fell, he would rise again. With a lesson: ego versus control. Not every risk is worth taking. Wisdom is knowing which risks build your future, which ones only feed your ego. A truly rich person does not play for ego, they play for control. Many people ruin themselves by jumping at every shiny object without checking if it connects to their path. The weapon of focus. Focus is the ultimate weapon of wealth. The person who walks in one specific direction for years builds what others find impossible. The non-renewable resource. The book shares a deep truth about time. It is your only precious resource. Money is renewable. You can earn it, lose it, and make it back, but time never comes back. If you spend your hours on the wrong people, useless work, or empty talk, you are not just wasting time. You are killing your own wealth. Chapter 6. Delegating responsibility and mental toughness. Felix Dennis makes one thing clear: rich people do not do everything themselves. They find the right talent, place them in the right positions, and focus only on the most critical decisions. The trap of doing it all. The book teaches that trying to do everything yourself is not bravery. It is your biggest weakness. Cannot play a big game if you are stuck in the small tasks. The person who learns to delegate is the one who wins. Felix shares how he promoted the right people and stepped back to build a system. Eventually, that system transformed into a machine that made money on autopilot. The price of ownership. Becoming rich is not a path of comfort. In the beginning, it gets harder. Through work increases, the pressure intensifies, and the loneliness grows. If you are afraid of being alone, you are not ready to be an owner, because the biggest decisions must be taken alone, and the consequences must be faced alone. Mind over muscle. This part of the book places a massive emphasis on mental strength. Money is made with the mind, not with hands. If your mind is weak, wealth will slip through your fingers. You must accept that criticism, mockery, and failure are mandatory stops on this journey. Those who cannot handle the heat break down before the finish line. Silence the crowd. Felix reminds us that the people laughing at your start are usually the same ones silenced by your success. Never let the opinions of the crowd become your compass. The path to wealth does not go through the crowd. It is a solitary walk. It requires you to stand by your decisions and, more importantly, have the courage to accept your own mistakes. Chapter 7. Handling Money and the Test of Relationships. Felix Dennis now reveals a truth very few talk about. Earning money is difficult, but keeping it is even more difficult. Most fail because they cannot earn it, but even more fall because they do not know how to manage it. The danger of comfort. The moment the money hits your account, your behavior changes. Trust increases, spending habits shift, and the mind starts craving comfort. This is the danger zone. Felix warns that the first enemy of wealth is laziness. If you think the work is done just because you have arrived, you are weakening the very foundation of your success. Staying rich is a daily job. You have to prove yourself every day and keep your ego under absolute control. The market reality check. If you start believing you are the smartest person in the room, understand that you are about to fall. The market forgives no one, not your experience, not your name, and certainly not your wealth. Felix speaks from experience. He was proven wrong many times, but he never stopped learning. This humility is what separates the truly rich from the temporary winners. The loneliness of the climb. Wealth is the ultimate test of relationships. As you go up, the crowd around you grows, but the number of people who are truly yours shrinks. A rich person must accept loneliness. Not everyone can understand your vision, and even fewer can bear the burden of your decisions. Fear versus freedom. Felix warns, stay away from the show-off. Buying expensive things and trying to impress others are not signs of wealth. They are signs of fear. A truly rich person lives a simple life, puts their money to work, and stays behind the curtains. Money as a tool, not a goal. Money is a tool, never the goal. If money is your only target, you will never be satisfied, and a dissatisfied person is a dangerous decision maker. Being rich is not about being above others. It is about having total control over yourself, over your desires, your anger, and your fear. If you can control yourself, you can control your money. The true definition of wealth, the real fun of wealth, is not the stuff, it is the freedom. Yes, it is the ability to decide what you do, who you do it with, and when you do it. This freedom is the real wealth. Everything else is just numbers on a screen. Remember, the higher you go, the stronger your foundation must be. Chapter 8. The real cost of wealth and the inner self. Just before the finish line, Felix Dennis pulls back the curtain on a truth most people ignore. This is not about the technique of making money. It is about the price you pay for it. The death of innocence in this journey. The first thing that breaks is your innocence. As you climb, your perspective shifts. You realize that not every smile is genuine, and not every piece of advice is for your benefit. People will try to use you for your money, your name, or your power. If you do not learn to read people, your wealth will become your greatest weakness. The razor's edge. Trust versus doubt. A rich person must learn to doubt without becoming bitter, and learn to trust without becoming a fool. It is the most difficult balance in the world. Once trust is broken, the heart tends to harden, and a hard heart leads to a lonely life. Felix admits that he intentionally took losses many times, just to stay human. He knew that strength does not come from winning every battle. Sometimes true wisdom is in letting go. The new currency of time. Once you are rich, the value of time changes. 1 hour is no longer just 60 minutes. It is a piece of your life you can never buy back. If you give your time to everyone, your most precious asset is scattered, and no amount of money can save you. You must create boundaries with people, with work, and even with yourself. Without boundaries, your freedom becomes a burden. The power of silence and solitude. Not every victory is meant for the world to see. Some wins are better kept hidden. Felix notes that people who brag about everything are usually insecure or empty. A truly rich person remains silent, observing more than they speak, and understanding more than they show. The weight of the past. As you find success, your past will try to hunt you down. Old habits, old fears, and toxic relationships will pull you back if you have not processed them. This is why forgiveness is a survival skill. Forgiveness is not about the other person, it is about lightening your own load. An internally weak person eaten by anger cannot manage a fortune control through stopping. And finally, you must learn to sit alone with yourself. Most people are terrified of silence because silence brings questions that demand answers. Strength is not always found in the hustle. It is found in the ability to stop. Felix chose to step back many times because the price of moving forward was simply too high. Real control is knowing when to stay, when to move, and most importantly, when to stop. Chapter 9. The Purpose of Struggle and True Freedom. Now the book reaches a turning point where the question is no longer about money, it is about life. Felix Dennis addresses the one question that haunts every striver. If money is not everything, why struggle this much? If problems exist even at the top, why run this race at all? The illusion of the finish line. Most people live under the delusion that life automatically fixes itself. Once the money arrives, they think fears will vanish and complications will be erased. But the brutal truth is that money does not end problems, it only changes their form. Felix speaks from experience. When he was poor, he worried about the money. When he became rich, he worried about the decisions he traded, the fear of hunger for the fear that one wrong move could destroy everything he built. The void of the wealthy. The most critical task after becoming rich is maintaining balance. If your mind never moves past money, 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 you will drift away from your soul, and your loved ones will become empty. Felix recalls seeing countless people who had it all yet had no peace on their faces, no sleep in their eyes, and no relief in their hearts. The burden of choice. Money gives you options, but it also gives you the burden of those options. Every decision is now 100% your responsibility. You lose the luxury of having someone else to blame. Rule of self-discipline. To stay rich, you must make your own rules when boundaries are no longer forced upon you from the outside. You risk scattering from the inside. This is where discipline becomes your only lifeline. Discipline of time. If you do not control your time, money starts controlling you. Discipline of expense. If you do not control your spending, wealth slips through your fingers. Discipline of thought. A truly rich person is the one who has the power to decide what they will not doing. The world of the ultra-wealthy, catching every opportunity, is not wisdom. It is a trap, often the biggest and most important decision you can make is saying no. Conclusion. Identity, legacy, and the final message. This book pulls no punches. A rich person should not help everyone, because not all help is right. Some help makes people weak and turns relationships toxic. There is a massive difference between kindness and weakness. A rich person must be kind but never a fool. Felix Dennis admits he often refused to give money because he knew it would not change your life. It would only feed bad habits. The mirror of wealth. Money brings out your true identity. If you are greedy at your core, money makes you a monster. If you are fearful, money makes you insecure. Before you get rich, you must know yourself. You must understand your weaknesses and accept your limits. The man who lies to himself cannot manage money, because money demands the truth in every decision, every relationship, and the price of health. Take care of your body. Money cannot fix broken health. Felix learned this the hard way. He made work his everything and ignored his health, paying a heavy price later. Do not lose yourself in the race. If you are not around to enjoy it, the earnings are useless. Life is more than work. It is about experiences, relationships, and connecting with yourself. The final victory. Real success is sleeping peacefully at night. It is knowing you did not have to deceive anyone or hide from your own reflection. Many get rich but lose their principles. That is the most expensive price of all. Money should never be bigger than your values. If money drives your decisions, you have already lost. Knowing when to stop. Knowing when to stop is just as vital as knowing when to push. The game is not meant to be played forever. The wise man steps aside at the right time. Felix stepped back when he realized he did not need to run anymore. Most people are never satisfied, and that hunger eventually eats them from the inside. Remember, satisfaction is not laziness. It is the wisdom of knowing how much is enough. The real legacy. Your responsibility to the next generation is not just a bank account. If you give your children money without struggle, you make them weak. Real legacy is a way of thinking. It is discipline. It is values. If you cannot pass down your mindset, your wealth will not last a decade. Becoming rich is not about winning at life. It is about understanding it. If you gain freedom but lose your peace, the deal was a failure. The real victory is making money your servant, not your master. This book completes the cycle. It shakes you, it teaches you, and finally, it forces you to think the journey is lonely and painful. But if you stick to the path, you gain more than gold. You gain self-confidence. You gain total control. That is the strength of this book. If this breakdown forced you to think, remember, this is not just a story, it is a mirror. For more deep dives into the truth of success, subscribe to the Action Summary Hub, like the video, and tell us in the comments which truth hit you the hardest today.